Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift had spent the last 5 days in a state of constant alertness, their lives reduced to a blur of hospital beeps, anxious coffee runs, and whispered reassurances. The world might have seen them as global superstars, but on this particular Friday, July 18th, their universe revolved around one man, Scott Swift, Taylor's father and the heart of the Swift family. It was a sweltering evening in Nashville's Green Hills, the kind of night where the city seems to hum with possibility. But inside the stately Swift mansion, something far more precious was taking place. A private celebration, not for fame or fortune, but for life itself. Scott Swift had just been discharged from Vanderbilt Medical Center, emerging victorious after his 5th coronary artery bypass surgery. It was a moment that seemed almost cinematic. The hospital doors parted, and there was Travis Kelce, the NFL Titan, gently pushing his girlfriend's father in a wheelchair, flanked by Taylor, her eyes shining with relief. For a brief, infinitesimal moment, the world outside faded away. There were no stadium crowds, no blinding spotlights, just a family grateful to be together. The Range Rover that pulled into the driveway that night was a familiar sight, but the atmosphere was charged with something new, something fragile and exhilarating. Travis stepped out first, his broad figure softened by a light pink polo and crisp white pants, a look that was both athletic and surprisingly tender. Taylor followed, her silver blue woven dress catching the last rays of the Tennessee sun, her hair swept up in a way that seemed both regal and vulnerable. She reached for Travis's hand, a small gesture that spoke volumes. Inside, the mansion had been transformed. Strings of gold lights draped through the backyard, illuminating tables set with wildflowers and handwritten place cards. There was no army of event planners or ostentatious displays, just a warm, intimate scene curated by Taylor herself. The guest list was tightly held, just 30 of the couple's closest friends and family, no publicists, no paparazzi, no one hoping for a viral Instagram moment. From Kansas City, Jason and Kylie Kelce arrived, their 3 children in tow. Wyatt, ever the mischief maker, darted around with a balloon, his laughter echoing through the garden. The Kelces had quickly become part of the extended Swift inner circle, the kind of friends who could swap NFL game day stories 1 minute and cradle a sleeping baby the next. As the evening unfolded, the wine flowed and the music, classic jazz, handpicked by Taylor, provided a gentle soundtrack. But the real highlight came later in the evening, after the last of the chicken piccata had been served and the sun had disappeared behind the willow trees. Scott Swift, looking remarkably spry in a gray shirt and khakis, rose from his seat with Travis's help. The conversation died down, replaced by a hush that felt sacred. Scott raised his glass, his hand trembling just a little, and everyone leaned in. "I want to thank everyone for being here today," he began, his voice steady but thick with emotion. "Especially you, Travis. You're not just my daughter's boyfriend. You're the guy who got me through the toughest days, literally and figuratively." There was a moment of collective stillness, the kind that happens when everyone in a room realizes they're experiencing something unforgettable. Taylor, standing behind her father, squeezed her mother Andrea's hand, her own eyes brimming with tears. Travis, caught off guard but deeply moved, crossed the garden and enveloped Scott in a hug. The applause that followed was spontaneous and heartfelt, the sound of gratitude and relief. No one expected Taylor to perform that night. After all, this was a private family affair, not a stage show. But as the mood settled and the stars began to appear overhead, she quietly picked up her acoustic guitar and settled onto the steps. Without preamble, she began to sing The Best Day, a song she'd written for her father years earlier, its lyrics suddenly more poignant than ever. "I hear your laugh and look up smiling at you." The words drifted across the backyard, and for a few minutes, time seemed to stop. Andrea Swift dabbed at her eyes, overcome with emotion. Scott, visibly moved, simply smiled, his arm draped across Travis's shoulder. Travis watched Taylor the entire time, his admiration transparent to anyone who cared to look. Elsewhere, Jason Kelce chatted with Andrea about the challenges of parenthood, while Kylie introduced baby Elliot to Taylor's friends from Nashville. Even in the midst of celebration, there was a sense of unity, a blending of 2 families, each with its own traditions and stories, finding common ground in their love for each other. Donna Kelce, Travis's mother, couldn't make it from Ohio in time, but her presence was felt all the same. A massive bouquet of peonies and a handwritten note arrived earlier in the day, addressed simply to Scott. It read, "Looking forward to seeing you soon for a special dinner in Kansas City. Rest up and know you're loved." During a quiet moment, Travis confided in a friend, "I don't think I've had many meaningful moments like this in my life." It was a confession that surprised even him. For all his career highs and Super Bowl glory, watching over Scott Swift, holding Taylor's hand, being part of the quiet rituals of recovery, felt more significant than any touchdown. Earlier that day, before the party, Travis had shown up at the hospital in a blue scrub top and a University of Cincinnati cap, carrying a small bag of Scott's belongings. Nurses and doctors, used to the circus of celebrity, watched with quiet approval as the 6 feet 5 inches football player leaned down to whisper a joke that made Scott laugh out loud. It was a glimpse into a life beyond the headlines, a son-in-law in the making, trying to make a difference. When they finally left the hospital, Taylor walked alongside Travis, her father in the wheelchair between them. Outside, waiting by the curb, that familiar black SUV gleamed. Travis gently helped Scott inside, taking care not to rush or jostle him. Andrea climbed in next, her face flushed with gratitude. In that moment, anyone watching could see it. These weren't just famous people, they were a family, bound by love and tested by adversity. Back at the party, as the fireflies began to flicker and the laughter grew softer, Taylor and Travis found a quiet corner near the garden gate. She leaned into him, her head on his shoulder, and for a long moment, they said nothing. No declarations, no promises, just the comfort of shared silence. Later, as their guests began to leave, Jason carrying a sleepy Wyatt, Kylie balancing baby Elliot, friends exchanging hugs and promises to visit soon, Travis lingered in the doorway. Andrea caught his eye, and with a smile she whispered, "Thank you for everything." He nodded, humbled. "Thank you for letting me be part of this." As the last car disappeared down the drive and the house grew quiet, Taylor and Travis sat together on the back porch, their hands intertwined. The night air was thick with the scent of honeysuckle, and somewhere in the distance, a lone owl called out. It was a new chapter, one marked by resilience, gratitude, and the kind of love that endures even the toughest storms. For the Swift and Kelce families, this wasn't just a celebration of recovery. It was a reminder that life's most important victories happen far away from the glare of the spotlight. And for Travis and Taylor, it was the first page of a story they'd write together, one laugh, one song, one miracle at a time. As the city of Nashville slept, the Swift mansion glowed softly, a beacon of hope and family, of second chances and new beginnings. And in that warm, golden light, you could almost believe that anything was possible.